Welcome to part 18 of the XC restoration series, and we're going to begin by watching a bit of home movie footage that was taken in June 1985. And of course this was the very first car I ever built, a gold LJ 4-door SL, which was to replace a beautiful 2-door green 1734 on the floor LJ I only had for about a month before I wrote it off. Of course I couldn't afford another car, so I just bought a body shell. I didn't put that GDR badge on, by the way, it looks terrible. And it does have an exhaust pipe. Now, my sister lunging a horse, well, it's not very exciting, so we'll whiz through that nice and quickly. Okay, two friends, John and Neil, didn't like being filmed particularly, so they sort of ran away from me, but here I am in the LJ surveying a rather large burnout, and I don't know who did that, I don't know anything about it, but I just thought I'd film it anyway at the time. Those sorts of things that young people did back then. These days you do that and you lose your car for 30 days. And more of the horse being lunged. And of course my very first Wolseley 2480, I've restored a couple of those, and that was a sad car. That was the last one Dad and I worked on before he died. He died in November 85, and this was shot just previous to that. And we didn't get it running. Dad wasn't well and I didn't have the knowledge he had. Anyway, back to the Tirana. That car was a body shell when I bought it, and I assembled it myself, as I said, because I wrote off the other car and I didn't have the money to buy a new car, so I had to buy a shell from the wreckers. And it was a very good shell, there wasn't any rust in it, but I did only have that car for a very short time. It's got the L8 or LX Tirana sticker on the front. I thought that looked good, and of course here's Neil, again not wanting to be filmed. He's looking the other way, running away from me. And there's his GT, an XB GT. It was a replica, that's the only replica he's had. He's had, I don't know how many GT Falcons he's had, but that car had an absolutely gorgeous paint job on it. It was a 302 car that had a bit of a cam in it, and manifold and carburetor and things like that. Very, very doughy off the line, but it wound up and had very, very strong mid-range. And that's an air filter off the HZ Premier you'll see shortly, that I salvaged the 5000 part of an SLR 5000 sticker. We stuck it on there to see what it looked like, and it looked pretty crap. So back to the Tirana. I was always into standard looking engine bays. You can see that's a HZ or a BB Commodore type air cleaner sticker, but I sort of like the look of it. So that had headers on it and a few other bits and pieces, not very much. And of course they're surveying the old GT again and hiding from me. And of course the XD, which I've still got to this day. That car was only 6 years old then. And of course we get into the HZ. Now that was my very first car, but I didn't have it while I had a license. It was my brother's car, which he sold to me. It was a 5 litre turbo 400 with 4-wheel disc brakes and honeycomb wheels and everything. It was a gorgeous car. There's little Matilda the dog, and that's the HZ's engine. And it didn't have air conditioning, which didn't bother us. And here I am driving around the driveway at my mother's property in the XD. And that's about it for that video, so hope you enjoyed it. See you, Basil. Just having a look on this XD where the power steering lines go, and one of them goes along, it goes there, and one of them goes under there somewhere. And it's sort of, there's a cooler on the front here that sort of goes this underneath, and then it sort of comes out here under the headlight, and of course runs along to the box down there, and you can see that the box is actually out from the chassis rail at the bottom, which I thought when I was putting the one in the XC there was something the matter with it, but that's just how it is. And of course the box has extra provision for mountings, and they just use the 3 standard mountings like that. My adjuster hole's blocked up, but the line goes down along the back of the cross member. It's hard to see here. I can sort of see better without the camera there, but I've just got to if I go right under here. Ah, there it is there. Oh, it goes through though. Oh, I see. It goes underneath there. And then it comes out. Oh, well. I just wanted to double check with this car have it all set. Getting ready to put the steering box in, I've put this new coupling on. Interestingly enough, that nut there is quite difficult to put on. It is damaged just on the very, very shoulder of it there. It was given to me by the mob that sold this coupling to me, and you can't get an impact sock in there because it's too thick a wall. And so I've just used a conventional one, which is a bit of a no-no. As long as you protect yourself accordingly, you can do it, but it's a risky thing to do, of course. I've just put a bit of washing detergent just around the outside before I've put it on, and of course we'll torque that up nicely. So that's ready to go on. That's Mustang from my brother, because again, this car's made up of all new parts, and so I'll put the pitman arm on in the car because it can go out 90 degrees out on sort of each spline, if you know what I mean. So I want to make sure I have that right. So we'll stick that in now, I think. Back in the engine bay again. So this might be a bit tricky. Don't scratch it up too much. Difficult. Might do it from the other side. Got an idler arm here. It's the Nolithane one, and I got this for the express reason that Ford idler arms tend to chew out, so I've got the stronger one. I've got these on the other two Fords, and they're only about $15 dearer than what the standard part is. So I've got to put that on, and also I think it comes with a bit of white grease or something. There goes that. I always get confused with idler arms and which way they go. Like that. You know pretty quickly when you put them on if you got them right or wrong. Right, well we've got the beginnings of steering in now, and I'll just have to reattach that column, and then we pretty much got it done. We've just got to put the outer tie rods on, but we can't do that until we get the front end in. Right, well I want to talk about hydraulic lines and how we're going about this, and this is one that I've made up myself. Look, these things really do need to look straight. You can see it's got the bends up there near the master and all this sort of stuff. If they're wobbly, they don't look terribly good, and you do notice them. Now, one thing I always do with those is get them professionally fitted out, and you can see here it's got professional flares on it. Bundy tube, this is just 3/16 Bundy tube. You buy it in rolls like this for about $30 from Burson's, and of course as you unroll it, you just unroll it against the ground, it'll come out flat. It will have an arch in it, but you can work with it. Now this is the zinc stuff. It's like the original stuff. If you're going to go with stainless steel, you never bend it. It's terribly difficult to bend. And of course, I've used the old lines, taken them off. These are off the Fairmont, and I've blown these out with compressed air to make sure they don't drip brake fluid anywhere. And I use these as a map to make the new ones. And you can see the sort of flared nuts on them are the same size as the originals, like this, and the same thread and so forth. Whoa, so I can bend this into the right sort of orientation. Now, this of course is a map, and I use these as maps. That's the one off the Fairlane as well, and it's in lovely condition, but it has got surface rust on the outside. Now, given that brake fluid is hygroscopic, I should say, it does store moisture. So if it's rusty on the outside, there's a good chance it is on the inside as well. So we really do need to use new lines, but these are a terrific map for bending up your old ones. Bending up your new ones, I should say. One of the issues with bending this stuff is it is inclined to kink, and so you need to be most careful of that. And I'm always starting at the master cylinder edge. Now to bend it, it's quite easy. but you just don't want to put too much stress on it while you're doing it, because otherwise it'll just crease straight away and you've had it. So you can just sort of work it where you need it, and use it as a map, use that other part as a map, and it will bend very, very well. But again, as you're doing radiuses, you can use a bender. I've got one in there, I'll show it to you in a moment. Or you can use your finger and sort of bend the radius around like that. If you bend it in one spot, it'll just kink and then you're sort of dead in the water. But once we get it to how we want it, which this is only going to be loosely accurate, so when I turn the camera off and I can really concentrate, I'll try and get it a little bit better than that. But because it is actually reasonably difficult. It's easy to bend, but very difficult to get the right way. And so I've just got to follow that down and then write it like that, and then run another right hand bend in it. And then of course once it fits up, we'll put our grommet in and pass it through the inner guard, and it should be pretty well spot on. That's not far out now. It's still not quite there, a little bit more fettling, but I reckon it's going to look alright. And so that's the sort of finished product, so to speak. So we'll try that in the car, see how it looks. Now if the lines you've got are like this and they're all over the place, you can just chuck them out. They're not going to be much good to anyone. These ones are most manageable to take off the Fairlane in very good condition, or at least in straight condition, and that way they're an ideal template. Now once we're finished with them, of course, we can bin them, but I'd be inclined not to. I'm going to give these away to anyone who wants them. I'll just probably give them back to Ray, I suppose, but at least then they serve as a purpose sort of time and time again as being a template. The shorter bits like this are really good because you can take these in as samples of the fittings you want on your pieces of bungee tube. So for example, the 3 lines that come out of the master all use the same thread and same length of fitting. So, and the other ones sort of are sort of the shorter ones like that. So, you know, they're always good things to keep until you're absolutely finished with them. Now, exceptions to the rule, or an exception to the rule, is this hydraulic one for the clutch here, and of course it has a length of flexible pipe in it. Now you can make these out of rigid pipe and not put that flexible bit in, but they will crack because these are designed for the engine to move around. That's attached to the bell housing, obviously where the slave is, and this one's up on where the master cylinder is. Now I need to get the rear one, or the forward part of the rear one, fabricated before I can put all these in, because the clips are double type clips, which are these things. And there's a few things with this. They're these type of clips. They're around $5 each. Now some of them have slightly smaller grommets than others. And there's one there. You can see the difference there. This is a small one, obviously this is a large one. Most of the ones you need will be larger. And you plug them in the hole and you squeeze this with pliers together. But if you don't have it in properly, then of course it's redundant, it's gone. So we need to use these clips to secure them all, but I need to get another couple of lines refitted before I can. These things of course are the grommets that the front brake lines pass through in the inner wheel well, you know what I mean? I'll just pull the hair off. So they need to be fitted to the lines before we put them on, and then we can just sort of secure them once we're sure that the line's in the centre of the hole. It's not sort of rubbing hard against the edge. So here's the line we're going to fit. I'm just going to bang that through like that and just have it further up the line so I can pass that through the inner guard, and then that's just sort of sitting there waiting to go. It's got white stuff all over it. Anyway, these are new. These bushes here, around about $5. You can buy kits and all this sort of stuff, and you can save a bit of money getting them all at the same time. But I always find buying things separately is better for me because it reduces the financial burden. Like for example, the rubber kit for the car, I got them all separately for the XW, so I ended up paying less because some of them were on special, and I got them as I needed them. So I put this in, see how that goes. So this is going to be a little bit tricky. I'm just going to take that line out. There's nothing in there, which is good. I'll just pass this through, and that is going to go through there, and straight away there's an issue because that's out of square, so I'm just going to pull that over. that part of the pipe there is central. Once it's clamped on the outside, and that's central, then we can just sort of pop that through there and it'll look nice and tidy. But at the moment I've just got to muck around with it a tiny bit more. That's nice and tight there now. But it is not far. It's not far at all. So we're almost there. So I'm just going to take that slight arch out and straighten it out just to give it a bit more of a professional look. Well, testing electrics is always a little bit untidy, and I've got little bits of earth strap going everywhere, and I just want to try this motor out. And I've got the little wire there earthed, and I've got the motor earthed, and it goes onto the battery. Well, it should go onto the battery. Which one's the earth? No, that's the earth there. So then we can sort of check other bits and pieces. And what I'm sort of keen to check, have we got power? Yep. Is the wiper motor. Okay, so it's parking. I'll go for intermittent. Okay, so that's all working. And I'll go for the slower speed there. Okay, so that's all doing what it should, and we'll go for the washers. If you look at that test light, I'll zoom in over there. Is that going to autofocus? I don't know if you can see that test light there. Okay, so that's all working. Next thing we'll try is the horn, and that's working. But this indicator switch is the one off my XD. I didn't realise it when I put it on, and so that's why it isn't self-cancelling too well. So I've got another one. Okay, we've got another one, and I'll have a look at it now. Now this one has been badly sunburned. I've just got a little bit of 400, and I'm taking all the sort of scaly plastic off. Now I've had this idea to paint it black and then put a transfer on. Now I've got a scan of the headlight transfer and also the horn one, and what I'm trying to do is to get the transfers made up like the old Rego stickers where you dip them in water, then they sort of peel off and just sort of sit there, and then I want to clear coat over it, and so that way you won't get sort of a hand touched up one that looks pox, and it'll also, assuming that it's alright to paint over, it'll look a lot better. Now I haven't got that done yet. The sticker place that I used to use isn't there anymore, and I'm not sure if they can make those. I know somebody does, because they make the transfers for the Holden 6 rocket covers like that. Your 186 and 149 and 202 ones are all made like that. So I want to try and get one, but in the meantime I'm going to paint this. There's a new old stock one sitting online for $730, and I'm just not going to spend that. I mean, that's ridiculous, but we'll try and marry this one up, or at least we'll try and clean this one up as best we can, make it nice and smooth so it looks good, and take it from there. A couple of parts I bought. I picked this up for 20 bucks. It's a standard dash, and it's got the standard low mileage speedo in it. And I bought this for the speedo on the off chance that I don't go with the sort of interceptor one that I've got. I like the look of the standard one more, but mine is unusual, so I'm sort of inclined to keep it. But I picked this up because it was there. This is from the seller I use in Pascoe Vale, and of course I've just got it all sort of cable tied to the surround so I can just hang it on the wall for now. I was given this clocks around. Now this is a Falcon 500 one that's sort of broken across the bottom here in those mounting locations, and so I'm going to get a gal strip, bond it to here, and then I can sort of screw it up through the bottom. And I've got to cut this out. That doesn't pop out. It's not like an XD where it just sort of pops out. This has to be cut carefully, and there's a sort of a reveal in there where it has to be cut, but I'm going to tape that and cut just on this side of it, sort of on this side here, and then clean it up with a file so it's indistinguishable from the proper one. But I didn't want these drilled. Mine are drilled there, and I didn't want that. I might be able to touch up this surround here as well, though I haven't got a way of doing it in chrome. The other bit that's been really difficult to source is a little hood that goes over the handbrake down here. No one seems to have them because no one seems to save them, because no one seems to use them, or at least need them. But I was given this one again from Damien in Pascoe Vale, and I can just paint that up and sort of put it on, and that'll keep the handbrake grommet, that sort of tubular rubber grommet, nice and flush against the body, or at least the firewall. and that'll be successful. So I'm very happy that I managed to secure that, because they're hard to get. And of course the other bit that I was given was this demister switch, and they're again quite difficult to find, so I've just got to secure that in. Need to go to Burson's and buy a few of the very small wedge globes for the little indicator, the little orange light that comes on here. But that's another win. So I'm very, very happy at the moment with what I've managed to get a hold of. Alright, so I put another indicator switch in. So if I turn that, she self-cancels. I go the other way, she self-cancels, which is good. I stuck a demister switch in, and it's all looking good. Excellent. Just going really carefully. I'm wearing a mask as well because it stinks. Not very good for you to inhale this stuff, but I've just got it sort of almost to the point we've got to come across the top, and I've got the other one close by so I can see exactly where to cut it. Well, I've filed this out. I've got these side parts in the bottom dead straight. This one here is a bit funny because it sort of folds under and across, and there's a sort of a reveal across the top there. But it does fit. It's still untied at the moment in terms of what it looks like, but it does fit quite well. And so that's going to look a lot better than having chopped up holes in there. I don't like that look. And it is a Fairmont, it's not a Fairlane or LTD, so it doesn't need those things. So the next thing to do, I'm going to just redo that silver line across there, and I'll mask it very carefully, and I'll just spray it on. And then I've got to clean up the back, and I'll put a steel strip, a very thin steel strip, just across the back here with a couple of holes so I can mount up properly where it was. Got a little bit of clear in here, I haven't got the lid on. And I'm just going around, I'm sort of going off the edge so I don't have to get any overspray on the side there. Whoops. And I'm just clearing over this, just put a bit of silver on there. It's better than nothing. And you'll see behind me, that engine stands empty. And the reason is the engine block, crank and rods and all that have gone to the engine reconditioner. The good news is that the block's great. They are taking it out 20,000, so I wouldn't let them take it any more than that because it was an original bore, but there was a tiny bit of a lip on it. Hot tanking it, fixing up the decks on it square with the centerline of the crank, all the stuff that I wanted. I'm just going around with a razor blade to get any of the irregularities off where I've masked up. And you'll notice I haven't cleaned this up yet. I wanted to paint it first, which is probably the wrong way to do it, but I wanted to do it so that if I had to use any products, Armour All-y type products or whatever, it wouldn't interfere with the adhesion of the paint. So I'm just going around now with a new razor blade and getting rid of any of the little bits of muck, because when I took the tape off it did leave a few scraggly bits there. So this is what I'm talking about. See that spirally bit there? It leaves a beautiful straight edge. Once I've got it cleaned up, it'll be as good as new. Now while I've got the gun out, I've just been painting behind here because the light from the indicator was showing up. There's a couple of little marks you can still see there, and so I'll just give that another quick lick. But that'll come up really well. If I hold it up, I'm sort of holding it up to the light and just checking it, and I'm just giving it little touch-ups and letting the compressed air dry it off. Because if you put it on thickly, it'll craze. It shows all these craze marks, and with the light behind it you're going to see it really, really clearly. So I'm just almost airbrushing it on and then losing the compressed air just to flash it off. Just like that, and you can sort of watch it flash off as you go over it. Holding it up to the light from time to time, and that looks spot on, so I can take the tape off, and I reckon it'll be okay. That's better. Nearly. There we go. Ta-da. Let's give it a few more dunks. Cool. See? But anyway, I've just sort of stamped a couple of little rings on there, which should be good. Right, here's our steering wheel, and it's not a brilliant one. There's a couple of little nicks in it, and it's a bit crazy, and that's the sort of thing that happens with these soft feel wheels. Where the sun hits them, they tend to move around a lot. And this one, of course, is gone here, and also all around here. It's all squidgy and horrible. Now, the best way to do this is to pop little holes in and inject araldite or something into there. Now, the problem with doing that is those araldite parts are going to become very rigid, and you'll feel them. You'll feel them as little hard lumps in there. And not just that, it won't get right around. Now, this one, look, it's less than ideal. I think I can butcher it a little bit. I'm not going to, I might use this to get the roadworthy on the car, but I want to use actually a Nardi wheel. Nardi make a lovely leather black thing, which will look really good in here if I can't find a decent GXL one. They're very hard to get. I'm just going to get a razor blade and I'm going to slice along here. And it's really easy to cut into to get to the wheel. And then we can just sort of bind it up and we can close that right up with tape. Now, by getting in here, you can see the wheel's nice and clean in there, but it's, I'm going to watch what I'm doing because my record for talking on cameras and doing this sort of thing isn't very good. Rightio, so it's good there, and it's still loose down there, so I'll go a little bit further. And then I'm into here, rightio. So if I tighten all this up here, it's good up there. And I'll do the same on this side here. So if I start there, hopefully I don't stab my XW, I can get right in. And again I have to go a little bit further. So the trick with this, there's a couple of ways we can do this. We can repair that, close it right up and get it leather wrapped, and that way we can retain the GXL look. It'll have a little leather, like a stitch line in here and in there, like a modern car, which is another way I can do it. I think that's about $400 to do, or a Nardi is going to be around the same. So I might even, if I can find a decent center, go with this. But alright, so I've cut the little tips off, part A and part B nice and evenly. Hang on a minute, we might use a bit of this actually. And I'll mix these two parts up. And look, if this doesn't work, not always lost really. I'd like it to work, but if it doesn't, not the end of the world. The only problem with this stuff is it tends to be really, really, really messy. So what we need to do is we need to get it in there, shut those gaps up, and then clean off what's not around. But the good thing about araldite is it sticks to pretty much anything. It doesn't seem to stick to masking tape. And it also is very sandable. So if we're careful, we can sort of get around this and be tidy about it. So I'm just going to go all down in here. I'm just being careful not to get it on the outside as much as possible. And some of the old Ford purists are probably going to frown with this, but this is what you do when you're trying to resurrect old crap and make it good again. Squeeze it down here into this side. You can see where the camera is. Go down here, squeeze it down. I'm going down on the other side of the wheel to try and get it on the other side of that hoop, so that it's not all around this side, if that makes any sense whatsoever. And as long as it doesn't rotate, it'll be roadworthy. Now, araldite's what I've used on plastic steering wheels forever and a day to repair, because normal auto filler on a hard plastic wheel will in fact craze over time, and will give you that, well, like this crazed sort of appearance, which is less than attractive. But araldite won't do that. And somebody told me once that the reputable steering wheel repair people use it as the special two-part adhesive they talk about on their websites. Now I'm just going to squeeze these together and take that off like that. Now this is a bit of prep sole, not thinner. Thinner's too harsh, and also underneath this big thick piece of cardboard is my XW. So I'm just going to go around with Prepsol and get rid of all the residual muck adhesive. And the scar's opened up a bit now, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to tape it shut in a moment. This is turning out to be harder than I thought. This is hard. I just hope it's not surfacing because the rubber's starting to come back to its original shape because I spread it apart and now it's sort of starting to ooze out, but I think we're still good. Andy Benny. Hello.
Oh, you're upsetting.
He's alright.
No, she.
Heavy's a boy.
I'm talking about Cleo. I said you're upsetting her.
She upsets us because she barks at 4 o'clock in the morning.
I'm afraid so.
Are you tired?
Yes.
So this is another brake line off the Fairlane. This is the one that goes from the master down to the rear of the car, to the 2 rear brakes. And I'm just going to use a little bit of wire around here and just tape it on there, and that'll tell me. I'm going to do it on the ground actually. I'm just standing up for now to show you. That'll tell me precisely how long I need it. So, I'll stick it between my legs. I'll allow a few mil there just for the flaring, and I'll bind it around there. And then follow every curve with the bit of wire. So that way I know that when I cut my bundy, it's exactly the right length. I'll go around here. Oops. So I don't know if you can see that. That's the problem with using a camera when you're by yourself. So we'll go around here. And it just ensures that we're going to get exactly the right length of bundy tube, and I get to keep this as a map. So again, we're going right around. I'll tape that there, and I'll just continue on until I'm finished. And of course here it is completed. It's all sort of taped snugly around here to there, right here, and now of course I can just pull that off, measure it against the tube, and I'm good to go. Now this one here is off the Fairmont, Fairlane, but the one that's going down the car I've kept from this Fairmont because that was the only bit left in the car, and so I know it's the right length because we don't forget, of course, that the Fairlanes use a longer wheelbase. And we just roll it against the ground to keep it nice and flat. Well, it might be time for me to take a bit of humble pie. It looks like I've done this the wrong way because it's still oozing. Could be because the rubber's got a bit of memory in it and it's sort of contracting back around the wheel after I sort of peeled it away, and it's causing all this sort of to ooze out. So I'm going to have to take the tape off again, scrape off residual glue and then rebind it. But maybe drilling the holes and injecting it in is the better way to go. I don't know, I thought this would be better. But I might have made a mistake. It does look like it's closed up quite well though. I'll just re-tape that. If it means I have to sort of pull it apart or take the tape off and wipe it from time to time, it'll get to the point where the glue will start going off and it won't ooze anymore. Right, well, it's the following morning and I'm taking the tape off. And I reckon I was right to do it this way because I had trouble with it oozing out. And if I drilled holes in it and filled it up with adhesive, then it would have just oozed out of those holes. And I changed the tape a few times to sort of get rid of the bulk or the excess. And even now, there's tiny bits of it, like there's a bit there, there's a bit there. On the other side, you could feel with because your fingers wrap around there's a little bit there. So I reckon if I get a bit of wet and dry and sort of wrap around an icy pole stick and just sort of feather it down on the highs and just in those low bits just sort of get rid of it, then I reckon it's going to be fine and it's going to be really, really strong. Now, it doesn't look bad at all, and it was just that oozing. So judging by the adhesive that's left in this little mixing tray, it's hard, but it's still a little bit tacky. So it's right about where I want it. It's actually turned out better than I thought it would. So I'll just give it another wrap just to support it, and then this afternoon I'll take it off, you know, for good. And by taking the tape off like this, it stops it from really sticking to the glue. Although it doesn't stick that well, it just means it gave me the opportunity to get rid of any excess. So all things considered, I think it's fine. It's where I want it to be. So, you know, it was a bit unconventional slicing all through it, but I think the result is better, because even though it was oozing out with the rubber contracting, I think it was also probably oozing around the wheel as well. So I think it's probably a much stronger repair that'll offer a bit more sort of longevity, if you know what I mean. So it's gone from being something unroadworthy to something now that's very roadworthy.
I think a good man's hard to find.
Anyway, that's it for this one. You can see I've got the wiper motor in, it's all wired up, the steering box is in, the coupling's all done up, all that sort of stuff. In the next video, I'm going to have to undo that wiper plug. That was pretty clever, wasn't it? I've got to take it off to get all the lines in. In the next one, we'll finish the lines, mount them up, put the power steering lines in as well. Try and get a little bit of front end worked in. I was planning on having that in this episode, but I didn't do it. The steering wheel, basically you be the judge. It's a little bit of roughness there, which I have to sand. I only did this last night, so a little bit of sanding off. But yeah, look, that's going to be fine for roadworthy. But as far as the method of repair, as I said, you be the judge. It was a redundant wheel beforehand, but you won't hear me crapping on about the dash anymore, because I am pretty happy with it. Particularly that centre part. There's a horrible reflection there, but you see what I'm talking about? I'm happy with that. I wouldn't mind some new ones of these. Knobs with slightly more clarity in terms of their logos. The headlight ones like that too. But aside from the dash pad, we're done. Oh, before I forget too, the engine block should be back next time too, so we can have a good look at that as well. So, drive safely, enjoy your classic, and I'll see you later. Ta-da!